Chapter 16. 6 years had gone by since I was first diagnosed with UC in 2007. It was now 2013, and I was 36 years old. I still had my colon, even though it was mostly ulcerated. I was still married to my current wife, Kelly, and I now had 2 daughters. Savannah was 3, and Taylor was about 3 months. I was still managing the car dealership that my dad owned and was doing very well. We had just finished building a brand new sales building and a repair shop. I was my own boss and was making very good money. I had 2 nice vehicles, I had a nice 4,000 square foot house, and bought almost anything I wanted. We had started attending the same church I went to with my first wife, and I had begun singing in the choir again. I also began giving my 10% each week. Of course, it was more now than it ever had been. Guess that's why the preacher didn't seem to mind when I asked him to be the officiant of our marriage, even though he had been the officiant of my first marriage also. Yep, I went to church there for 4 years with my first wife, and had now been there 5 years with my current wife. And the same preacher was the officiant both times. I guess he just liked me that much. In my mind, I was living the American dream. I had money, I had the girl, I had the house, I had the cars, I had the job, I went to church. I had everything the world tells us is important. But for some reason, I was truly miserable. I was depressed every day. I would go to work and barely speak to anyone unless I had to. I didn't speak life into anyone and cared only about myself. I had become bored with life, and I complained about everything. When I got home from work, I would just sit and watch TV all evening. I didn't help my wife with the house or with the kids. The things of the world just did not satisfy me anymore. Nothing was exciting, and nothing was ever good enough. I knew I needed help. I knew that I did not want to feel this way. I began thinking that I might need an antidepressant. I had tried those when I was a kid, and they did not seem to help back then, so I decided not to go that route. I began researching online about natural supplements that would help with depression. I learned about serotonin, dopamine, endorphins, and all kind of chemicals in our brain that controls our thoughts and feelings. I bought books that claimed to reveal how to increase these chemicals in our brains, and they had convinced me that I just had a deficiency and that I just needed to boost these chemicals with these supplements. I began to buy all of the supplements that were mentioned in these books. Every one that was mentioned, I bought it. I began to take these supplements, expecting them to work. Pill after pill after pill, day after day after day. But nothing ever changed. I felt no different. I still could not find joy in my life. I was just going through the motions. One day, I sat down at the kitchen table across from Kelly. I looked at her with a puzzled look on my face, and she asked me what was wrong. I looked at her for a moment, trying to find the words that would best explain what I was about to say. She asked again, and with uncertainty, I proceeded to tell her that I wanted to try something to help with my depression. With a look of confusion, she said, "Okay, what are you wanting to take now?" She was confused because I had never asked her before taking any of the other stuff I had tried. I just did it. But this was different, because the world had made it illegal, and I did not feel right doing something illegal behind her back. "Well," I said, "it has many different names, but most people call it marijuana." I don't remember her exact response to my reply, but I can say with certainty that it wasn't received well. She had never done any type of drug and thought badly of them, just as the world had taught her. It was illegal, and she was concerned about us being arrested. And if we were arrested, who would take the kids? And if I went to jail, who would pay the bills? I am sure she had told me many more reasons as to why she thought it was a bad idea, but I don't remember them. I had pretty much made up my mind at that point that I wanted to try it, and she wasn't going to change it. I left the table with her permission to do it, even though I knew she wasn't okay with it. I think she just gave up trying to talk me out of it. My last experience with marijuana was back when I was about 21 years old, before I had met my first wife. I would smoke it to get high and to feel good. I did it with friends most of the time, very seldom alone. There was one friend of mine that always had some. Sometimes we would smoke it and then drive down the road listening to Pink Floyd. I really enjoyed doing that. It was as if I became one with the music. There was something about Floyd and smoking pot. They just seemed to go together. I would also smoke and play video games. My stepdad and brother smoked it also, and we would often play Mortal Kombat after getting high. The game became a lot more entertaining. I could sense my opponent's every move and block every punch and kick. I would become so focused on the game, I would enter the quote zone, and I believed that I was unbeatable. We would also smoke on the way to work. We all did electrical work back then, and I remember getting into the quote zone while working. We would work circles around everyone else because we would be so focused on what we were doing. We even got a few raises in pay for doing such good work thanks to pot. It made work not seem like work, and we actually enjoyed doing it. Growing up, I had been picked on a lot as a kid. Kids can be very cruel to each other. As I aged, this insecurity stuck with me, and I had become very hesitant when meeting a stranger. I felt that I had to put on a show around people that I didn't know because I wasn't sure they would accept the real me, and I didn't want to look or sound stupid. Most of the time, I avoided meeting new people or just wouldn't speak much. Marijuana changed all that. Being social was never a problem after smoking. It seemed to help me love everyone. I didn't judge people or feel that anyone was judging me. Everyone was my friend, whether I knew them or not, and I treated them as such. It was truly amazing how that plant helped me love another person. There were many other positive memories that I had of marijuana during that time in my life, and I can't remember them all. But there was one experience that I will never forget, and it would be my last experience with marijuana for a very long time. I was hanging out with some friends one night at a house I was rooming in for the summer. They were friends that I had known for several years, and we often smoked together. Someone had lit a joint and passed it around. It came to me, and I took a hit. At first, everything seemed normal. I proceeded to do whatever it was I was doing. A few minutes go by, and all of a sudden, this horrible anxiety comes over me. My heart starts rapidly beating out of my chest. Fear engulfs my mind and takes over my thoughts. I start sweating. My body starts shaking, and I can't control any of it. I felt like I was going to die, and I truly believed I was going to. My mind was racing, and I did not know what to do. I do not remember much of what happened after that, but I somehow ended up on the bed in my bedroom calling my mom. I could barely speak from all the crying, and all I could say to her was that I was going to die. And I truly believed that I was. I'm not even sure how the conversation went from there. I don't remember getting off the phone or falling asleep. It's possible that I just blacked out. What I do know is that night was the scariest experience I had ever had in my entire life up to that point. Thankfully, I didn't die. And when I woke up the next morning, I had no desire to touch marijuana ever again. And I didn't.